Okay, so we've talked about pathogens. We talked about viruses and bacteria in a previous video. What are pathogens? They're microorganisms that cause disease. Right, not all microorganisms cause disease. A lot of them are harmless or even beneficial to animals or plants, but some of them do. Right, so we're going to talk about a particular class of microorganism called a protist. Now, unlike bacteria, these are actually eukaryotic cells, and they're single cells. Okay, and the particular protist we're going to talk about is the one that causes the disease malaria. Okay, which is as you probably know, is spread by mosquitoes. Okay, now it's extremely clever the way that the disease is spread. Mosquitoes, of course, the female feeds on human blood, and if you look at this part of the mosquito here, it's got a mouth part there, which is particularly adapted to piercing the skin, and it will go into the so here's my little blood vessel. It will go into a capillary, and the blood will go into the mosquito's stomach. Now, what the mosquito has to secrete some saliva first of all. Okay, and the saliva contains something that stops clotting. It will stop blood clotting, and that's really important. We'll see later on spreading the disease. Okay, so the mosquito bites, and say this person is infected with the protist. Okay, so there's a protist in the blood. That is going to then go into the gut of the bacteria, of the mosquito, sorry. And most of the blood is digested. The protist isn't digested, and the protist doesn't just stay in the gut. It goes through a change in shape, several changes in shape and morphology, and it ends up going here into the salivary gland of the mosquito. Okay, so and it ends up dividing and multiplying in the salivary gland. So that means the next time that mosquito bites somebody, it injects a little bit of saliva into their capillary to stop the blood clotting. It will also introduce the protist, and that will infect that person. Once it gets into human beings, the protist infects red blood cells. It actually lives inside red blood cells and causes a lot of them to burst, and it can also go and live inside liver cells, and it can cause high fever, and it can cause inflammation of the brain sometimes, and that can end up being fatal. How do we counter this disease then caused by protists? Well, there are two targets. One is the mosquito. So there has been in the past mass campaigns where like swamps are drained where the mosquito larvae live, and so it takes away their habitat. The use of insecticides to kill the mosquitoes, the use of nets over people's beds at night, so you get bitten when you're asleep because you don't feel the mosquito landing on you. That can have a really big effect. There are also approaches where you attack the protist. So that's drugs like chloroquine and other more modern drugs, which you take protectively, particularly if you're going to a country where you know that there is a big problem with malaria, and you take these drugs. So if you do get bitten by a mosquito that's infected with the protist will be killed by the drug circulating in your blood. So that's another way of attacking them. All right. Finally, let's talk about diseases caused by fungi, by funguses. Okay, and the one on the syllabus is rose black spot fungus. Okay, now they do cause human diseases as well. You may have athlete's foot and thrush and things like that are caused by a fungus called Candida albicans. That's not strictly on the syllabus, but this one is rose black spot. So as the name would imply, rose plants that get infected with this, they get black patches all over their leaves. It stops the leaves photosynthesizing properly, and then of course that damages the integrity of the plant. It can't make its own food, it can't photosynthesize, so you get poor growth, stunted growth, or the plant might even die. Right, now, so fungi they are a separate kingdom to animals and plants, and they live on decaying material. Okay, they haven't got any chloroplasts. They can't do photosynthesis. They've got to use they've got to get the food from somewhere else. They can't make their own food. Right. Fungi usually exist as these things called hyphae, including the thing that causes rose black spot, hyphae. So hyphae are this is the cytoplasm here. And you can see here in this section of drawing, there are actually two nuclei. And quite often there aren't like subdivisions like that in between cells. It's just like one massive cell, really. Okay, and it's surrounded by a cell wall. So you have a cell wall. It's not a cellulose cell wall. It's made out of another carbohydrate called chitin. And the fungi tends to secrete enzymes out that digest the material outside of it, and then the nutrients that come from the digested material will diffuse back in. Okay, that's how they live. The way they grow is these hyphae just get longer and longer, and if you look, for example, if you see mushrooms popping out the ground, what you're actually only seeing is a very, very small proportion of the fungus. The fungus, most of it is this massive network of hyphae which will be underground, will be absolutely huge, and the mushrooms are just actually the reproductive organs which pop up the ground, and very, very small part of the whole network of these fibers called hyphae. And these fibers will grow inside the leaves of the rose and damage the leaves, stop them photosynthesizing, and cause them the plant not to grow properly. How can it be treated? It's very difficult without using fungicides. So the plant can be sprayed with a chemical which isn't toxic to the plant, but it is toxic to the fungi. That's one way of getting rid of it.